Okay, so how do we add and subtract polynomials? Well, can we add and subtract polynomials? Sure we can. Let's write some polynomials down and then let's try to add or subtract them. So this is a polynomial, and then let's try to add this polynomial, 3x squared minus 7. So I have this polynomial plus this polynomial. How do I add them? Well, basically I'm going to be combining the like terms here. So I'm going to look and I'm going to say, hey, I have x squared and I have a 3x squared over here. And notice something. This is a bunch of things that are added together. This is a bunch of things that are added together. We could really jiggle these around any way we want. Like if I wanted to, I could write this all as one thing. And this is equal to what I have before, but it's not very simplified. And if I wanted to, I could jumble it more. I could write the negative 3x first. I can write them in any order I want, and that's not going to change the fact that it is a polynomial. However, this is kind of silly. There's a lot of redundance. Like we can take negative 7 plus 1 and simplify this, and I know I can simplify this together with this. So let's try to write this in a simpler form. So ignore these two steps here. What I can do is I can jump right over here, and I can say, okay, what's the highest coefficient? The highest coefficient is x squared. So I have an x squared here. I have a 3x squared here. What happens if I take x squared plus 3x squared? So I can just add the two terms with the highest coefficient. And you know what? Let me write this down. Let me not do anything in my head. So those are the two terms with coefficient x squared. I have one term with coefficient x, and then I have one constant term or coefficient x to the 0 term. So basically, I've now separated these into 3 different categories. And now I can just think in terms of apples and oranges. For example, if I have 1 apple and 3 apples, I have 4 apples. If I have 1x squared and 3x squareds, I have 4x squareds. Here I just have the minus 3x. And then here I have 1 minus 7, which is minus 6. Now, of course, there's another way I could do this as well. If I really wanted to, I could line these up. X squared minus 3x plus 1, 3x squared minus 7. And I can add them like this. This is sort of like the long addition method when we're trying to add 121 and 392. And we want to add up, and then we can just go down. Of course, here we might have to carry something over. Well, by writing the polynomials like this, I can basically do the same thing. I have 1 minus 7, so that gives me minus 6. I have a minus 3x here, and I have 1x squared plus 3x squared, so that gives me 4x squared. And notice that we get the same answer, because it doesn't matter which way we do things, as long as we don't make any mistakes, we are always going to get the same answer. We can subtract polynomials as well. As a matter of fact, maybe we'll use the same polynomials. Let's take x squared minus 3x plus 1, and let's subtract 3x squared minus 7. Okay, so now we have to be a little careful about how we write things. Because what am I subtracting here? Am I just subtracting the 3x squared? Am I just subtracting the minus 7? No, I'm subtracting this entire thing. This binomial, but whether or not we call it a binomial doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm subtracting this entire quantity. So I'm subtracting the 3x squared and the negative 7. So most of you probably know that we can distribute the negative to both terms. Writing it like this. And now, basically, all we have to do is combine. So that's one way to solve the problem. And now we can combine this however we like. We could combine these two. So let's say we get x squared minus 3x squared plus minus 3x plus 1 plus 7. And we get minus 2x squared minus 3x plus 8. But this is not the only way to do the problem. I could actually write it like this. And now I'm subtracting this thing from this. So basically, I can go here and I could say, okay, I have 1 minus minus 7. What's 1 minus minus 7? That's 8. This is minus 3x and then nothing. If I subtract nothing from minus 3x, I just get minus 3x. And then what do I have here? I have x squared minus 3x squared. That's going to be minus 2x squared. And notice we get the same thing. It doesn't matter how we do it. So we can add polynomials and we can subtract polynomials. And there's more than one way to do it. And really, subtracting polynomials is secretly the same thing as adding. There's another way I could do it as well. I could have just not distributed the negative and then tried to combine the like terms and combine them with subtraction. And if you find that you like doing it that way, that's okay. There's lots of ways to do every problem.